Hey vinyl community, this is a video from Frank coming to you with some awesome records to scare away your date or to decide whether you're going to marry her on the spot. Some of them are really out there, some of them are a little bit better known. I've selected some that are rather expensive if you buy them as an original, and some that are really just gems that are waiting to be picked up for like a couple of dollars in your local record store. So let's get started. So the first record I want to share with you is by Franco Battiato, an Italian prog, krautrock kind of musician. He did a lot of really experimental stuff, and this is, I believe, his first or second album, and he really is an amazing artist. Like, lots of awesome, very warm synth sounds and really funny samples. Reminds me much of Zappa because it's just so out there. Deep voices, high voices, really cool stuff. Highly recommend this. This is a reissue. The reissues, are affordable. The originals, you might be lucky if you go to Italy and find it somewhere in a used store, but they're pretty pricey. All right. So if your date has survived this album, I don't know if she's gonna survive this one. So this is Ashra Temple. It's a classic krautrock album. So it's kind of sphery. You have Manuel Göttling and Klaus Schulze play guitar and drums, and then a lot of effects on top of it. What I really like about this is that it kind of builds slowly, right? It starts rather soft, and it builds throughout this first song, which is basically the first side, and then the second song is the second side. So it's a real like psychedelic album in that sense. Lots of improvisation, but awesome musicianship, beautiful solos, and yeah, it's really hard to, I think, listen to this if you're sober, but it's a good testing material for a girl. All right, moving on. Here, one of my absolute favorites. This is like an incredible find. I bought this 15 years ago or something, and found it in a store for about $3. And I looked at this cost just because I was interested. I felt like, oh, this is probably like super expensive now. And it's totally not. You can probably get it for $15 plus shipping or so. But this is brilliant music. Just look at the cover, right? It's just so awesome. And what I really like about this is, there's really heavy keyboard music. It's very spacey, effects. It's still very melodic. This album was recorded, let me see, somewhere 73, 74, somewhere there. And the members of this band were previously in the band Man. Man came from Wales. And there is, if I'm not completely mistaken, Phil Ryan here on keys and Will Jewett, and John Weathers actually from Gentle Giant. So John Weathers from Gentle Giant, well, you can't go wrong with that. And Stuart Gordon from the incredible string band, pretty amazing, right? So this is going to be just a treat for anybody to listen to, and what an awesome band. I wish they had done more. There's a second album that they did, which is way more commercial, and it's not the same. This is the real stuff. All right, here, another incredible find. You will probably have walked by this album probably 10 times already if you've been collecting vinyl for a couple of years. So this is Roger Glover from Deep Purple, Butterfly Ball. And the amazing thing about this album, this is kind of like a concept rock opera album. And it was originally kind of planned and was supposed to be produced for Joan Lord, but Joan Lord seemed to be too busy. So Roger Glover recorded it with a bunch of other musicians, including like Dial, Ronnie James Dio, and Glenn Hughes, and I think there's even let me see, yeah, David Coverdale from Whitesnake is on there, and they all kind of have different voices. So you have to think of a a musical style, like a prog musical. And although this is really kind of hard to imagine these two musical styles coming together, it's beautifully done. I can only recommend this. This is not going to cost you much more than $5 or something like that. But also, just don't listen to only the first like minute or so. Start listening to the rest of the album, because it gets a lot better. It gets a lot better. Yeah, so this was a real game changer for me. Also a little bit Zappa-like because it's so weird, and I hadn't expected it. This was from a time when I was a really big Deep Purple fan. Not so much of a Deep Purple fan anymore, but I'm really glad I picked this up. And while I've sold a lot of my Deep Purple collection, this will never be sold. All right, another really, really cool album from Italy by the band Salis. Salis come from Sardinia, so an island in Italy, just off the coast of Italy. Beautiful island if you ever have to take a vacation. So if the girl sticks around to that point, then take it just to Sardinia, and it's amazing there. So this album was produced in 1978 by two brothers, Antonio and Francesco Salis. This is their third album. There are two more albums before that. I actually don't know those, so I have to check them out. But this one is supposedly their best one, and I love it. It's just amazing. Like you see the cover art, with the planets, and really that's what it dials down to. It's like really spacey music, kind of spheric. It almost seems like this music was made for a different era, kind of either for way back in the past or way into the future. And I think that's what I find so fascinating about this band. When I picked up this album was in the record store twice, and I'm like, I would have bought that twice just to give to a friend, because this is just an amazing album. So if you ever come across it, do not hesitate. It shouldn't set you back too much if it's not an original. If it is, then of course, right, the Italian Prog stuff in original condition and near mint will be pretty hefty, but it's well worth it in this case. All right, I don't know. I must have kind of selected just Italian prog today. I don't know why, but this is PFM. So don't even ask me to butcher the Italian long name for this, but this album is a live album, and it displays beautiful combination of acoustic guitar, some accordion, some violin. These folks are just masters at prog. Like, it's just unbelievable. They have developed quite into the pop rock era later on, and were kind of not to my musical liking, but the first 2-3 albums are just incredible. There's one that's called Ghosts or something like that, and then there's one with a mountain kind of on the cover. I don't recall the names, but I like this one the best, but the other two are great as well. Okay, now we come to the really hefty stuff. I apologize already for this, because this is just too way out there. I think you can't really enjoy this unless you have at least had a couple of drinks, because this is just awesome. Brain Ticket. They're kind of a pioneer band, founded in 1968. by a Belgian-born keyboard player called Joel van der Rugenbach. Gosh, I'm butchering this as well. So what is really interesting about this is that this is a band kind of mixed together as a female vocalist, male vocalist. It's really funky guitars, nice bass lines, very out there but kind of earworm like guitar riffs. And you also can really see the krautrock influence that they're trying to kind of instill into their music. The lyrics are just crazy, right? And I kind of printed some off for you just for fun. So I'm just going to read some of it to you. A black sandstorm is approaching the metropolis. Sucking up sunlight, it moves on top of us. Beaches of black sand are littered with dead fish. Black sand, deserts grow blood-red cactus. Dust devils twist human bodies in half. Black sands down the hourglass, that's our ass. This ain't the past that we live in. We are not forgiven. It's death at the hands of the lands we've been given. So, just from the lyrics you can see it's just out there. If you can get like the original albums, which is totally possible, I think this is a kind of a double album, the two first albums, Psychonaut and I think Cottonwood Hill. So it's a double album, but I would recommend either getting whatever you get, just grab it if it's in a good condition. It's really cool. All right, so look at this cover. It's just awesome. This identifies you as a real nerd. So it's over by then anyways. So this is by Greenslade, and any of you not being familiar with Greenslade, so Greenslade came out of Colosseum. Dave Greenslade played in Colosseum when Colosseum kind of quit. I think in 1971 he started this band. This is, I think, their second album. Yeah. So no, I think even the third album. It's the last album before he kind of went solo. And what I really like about this is kind of an interesting version of blues rock oriented prog. The voice is really something you need to get used to. It reminds me much of Van der Graaf Generator. You either love it or you hate it. But it's an awesome album. Look at this. This artwork is just incredible. And originally this was released on Vertigo, I think, Vertigo Swirl. This is a reissue. I'm okay with that. For me, it's just about the music. Maybe another time I'm going to do a Vertigo Swirl video, but for now, we'll just go with what we have here. Amazing album. Really, what I like about it is it's like shorter songs, not as drawn out as Yes. That's what I really dislike about Yes. It's just these drawn out songs that never seem to end. This is not like that. This is way more concise, but still brilliant in many ways. So check it out if you haven't already. Yes, and now we have Nectar. Again, look at this artwork. This is just beautiful. I was really hard pressed to decide whether I would take the Remembering the Future or the Recycle here as the album that I wanted to choose. But Recycle is kind of the more kind of reminds me a little more of 80s style prog rock, although it's like still kind of dead on in the 70s, 1975 recorded. So it's a 70s album, but Nectar was founded in Hamburg, Germany, in 1969, and what I really like about this band in general, like pretty much all their albums, is they have really melodic guitar work, really spheric, nice synths, lots of mellotrons. It's just just beautiful albums, pretty much all of them. The first two are maybe a little bit more difficult to get into, but they are also, really groundbreaking in regards to prog. Um, Many of the synths have just beautiful arpeggiated kind of lines that kind of blend into each other. Voice is really nice. So this is big recommendation from my end. This is really good stuff. All right, so from my home country of Germany, another band, Grobschnitt, Rock Pumice Island. So I was really excited when I went back to Germany on my last trip and I saw this album in almost near mint condition as an original brain. And I was like, oh my God, I have to get this. And then I actually really convinced the dealer to give it to me for a really good price. So I think it was like $20 or something. It was like, for this album, this is really cheap. So the band formed in 1970. It's a much more rock-oriented krautrock, so it reminds me much more of bands like, I don't know, probably even like, Yes is probably, but also King Crimson a little bit. It's sweeter than that though. It's a little bit of early Deep Purple perhaps as well. Symphonic rock. That's probably the best descriptor of this, right? And what is kind of funny about it, I think this band really didn't take themselves too seriously, because they started with giving themselves these pseudonyms. They were called like Air Rock here. It's written, and Wildschwein was one of the guys, and then Lupo and Popo, and like nobody can take this seriously, and they didn't either. I think some of the lyrics are really kind of out there. But I love the album because it's just unusual and it's great musicianship, right? Very melodic, but great musicianship. And I appreciate that always. So check it out. Rock Pumice Dream. And finally, it was really hard to decide. Like, there needed to be at least one Gentle Giant album, right? So I decided on what I found the most amazing album the first time I listened to it. And I think it was actually my first Gentle Giant album that I bought about 20 years ago or something like that. This is In the Glass House. And it's the Gentle Giant album. Like, I don't know if you can see this, but it's kind of it almost looks like a movie print on plastic that's laid on top of the white, so it actually kind of slides back, and that's just the album cover is really amazing, but the music is just incredible. Like Gentle Giant, like from a musician's perspective, are just unbelievable musicians, and there are few people even nowadays that could compete with them, particularly like even in the prog scene where it's really where most people play really well. What I like about Gentle Giant is just, they combine so many musical styles. They combine like chamber music, some medieval stuff. They have rock in there, they have jazz in there. They are all multi-instrumentalists, so they play different instruments, and and it really shows. They have oboe on there, they have cello on there, and they all play this themselves, which I find really amazing. So, a lot of people really are into King Crimson, and I have a bunch of King Crimson albums. I love them, but the Kings are really Gentle Giant, and you might disagree, but in my opinion, this is just amazing stuff. So if you have gone through all those albums and the girl has still stuck around, you are a very lucky man, and you should just marry her on the spot, because this is hard stuff to go through, if you're not used to this kind of nerdy music. But I hope you enjoyed this. I certainly did. This was a lot of fun. researching all the background of all those musicians and the amazing music that is out there. For now, have a good rest of your day, and see you next time.